All right, let's get this started. Um, hey, Edmund, glad you made it. Let me just switch the screen so you guys can see me. Good morning or evening, wherever you happen to be. I'm so glad you're all popping on to learn a little bit about this thing I've made, and I want to share it with you. So I'm gonna. Oh, hold on. I've got some echoes happening here. Want to make sure I can be heard. I know I did a couple live streams a few weeks ago, and sound wasn't working. Good morning, John. All right, let's get into this. A little over 2 years ago, I started diving into AI in general because I was like, I need to learn about this thing. And I made Scribe Monster, if those of you who follow me know. It was a Chrome extension that helped with some ServiceNow things you might do with the coding and such like that. But I need to change it. Let's get into this. So I started over. And this is the result of that starting over. I've started over a few times since then, but AI in a Box is a self-hosted, cost-effective alternative to NowAssist. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles NowAssist has. I don't think it's going to be near as featureful as their solution is. But if you have AI on your checklist for things you need to achieve, it's 2025, and you don't have budget for NowAssist, AI in a Box may be a perfect fit for you and your business. What is it? Well, it's self-hosted. So the main cost of this tool is just an initial cost of right now it's $5,000, and then it's self-hosted, so it's on your servers. And you might be thinking, but Jace, hosting ourselves, that's really hard and expensive. It doesn't have to be. I built this with the mindset of I want this to be able to live on an existing mid server at the smallest capacity. It'd be nice if if people had dedicated servers for these things, but the reality is budgets are tight and people don't want to spend anything. So that's where I started with this thing, and that's what hardware I've been using to build it with. So 16 gigabytes of RAM, 4 cores, or actually 4 threads, if you're familiar with those terminologies. And that's it. That's like the basics of what AI in a Box is today. You can customize it, load your own models. There's a ServiceNow component you can customize, tell it what to send where, and that's the very brief TLDR of AI in a Box. Why does it exist? Well, we can't build with AI in a PDI, right? And I wanted to. So I tried to make it work for myself that way. But outside of that, things that have come from it, it's a way to avoid cloud lock-in. Maybe you don't want to pay Microsoft's OpenAI fee or OpenAI's fee directly, right? Maybe you don't want to send your data to those places. Or maybe you want to have a predictable cost that's not based on usage, but rather infrastructure. Also, another huge thing is because you're hosting it, you control where your data goes. You want to host it on prem? Perfect. You know your data is going from ServiceNow to your mid server to the on prem server. You want to host it in your verified cloud already? Maybe you have contracts with Azure or AWS. You control where those servers exist. So it should meet any regulatory needs you have, so long as it's okay passing through a large language model that you're hosting. I am flying too fast through this. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, if you're excited to see it, throw an emoji or two in the chat. I would love to see some interactions there. I'm super excited, and I hope you guys stay. I have an announcement at the end of this session that I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to get into it yet, but I'm going to drop this little teaser to keep you interested. So you guys probably want to see it. I know I'd want to see it. Let me show it to you. I gotta find the right button here to switch screens. Oh, before I get into it, let me talk about the other live streams coming up. So this week I'm doing 5 live streams because I'm crazy and my schedule requires me to do it before work or during lunch, and that's totally fine. So I've got live streams today, tomorrow, and Wednesday at 6 a.m. So bright and early. I went for a walk this morning. I saw the stars and the moon was still out, so it feels like last night still. And then Thursday and Friday at 11. And Thursday I've got a special guest, Kalisha Moore from the ServiceNow Professional Development Group, which I'm super excited to talk about building in public with her. Feels like a tangent, but it'll all tie in here. All right, let's get to it. So you guys can see my instance window. And John, yep, you've seen it. You think it's great. Awesome. Shay, I can't wait to show you. Twinkle and Edmund, I'm excited to show you guys too. So I have a regular instance. I've installed one update set. It has 2 tables. If you're curious about that, I know I'm curious about the technical details. But it has this command center that gets installed with it. I thought I clicked on it. Didn't. Oh, it just took a moment for it to go. And we can see that there's some problems on the screen. The mid server is down. I requested a mid server a few minutes ago, but we can see like we're just using this mid server today. Let me just go over to that the mid servers here. I didn't try to bring it up. I should check this before the stream. Thanks, Edmund, for verifying you can see it. Did I click on that? I thought I clicked on it. Oh, there it goes. So this mid server is down. All right, we're just going to delete this mid server real quick, and we're just going to start over. Oh, this is unfortunate. Well, you guys have to hold on with me for about 2 to 5 minutes for a mid server to come up because I don't have any mid servers anymore. So let's go back to that command center. And we're going to request this server here. And it's going to create a mid server user, and it's going to try to delete that mid server if it already existed. So this is more for PDI use cases. I don't intend to host this for most folks, but to get people set up, you have to have a mid server. And let's talk about that for a minute. So the reason you need a mid server is to ensure that stuff is within your control. So this is a diagram of how it works under the hood, like the very basics of it. There's an inference table. That inference table, when you create a record, it'll trigger a REST call to a mid server. Well, to that mid server today. And the mid server then makes a REST call. Or sorry, this doesn't make a REST call to the mid server. It makes a REST call via the mid server. I misspoke. Let's be technically correct. I'd rather be technically correct than the other way. So the mid server then makes a call to this Box server software I've built, which is a Windows binary or a Linux binary file that you can execute on either Windows or Linux. And then that will interface with a large language model server. In this case, I'm using Llama CPP, but you could use Ollama or Llama File. There's a couple other ones too, I think. Or you could even, like I said, point Box to Azure's OpenAI endpoint. My pip is blocky. Oh, my picture. Yeah, here, I'll move my picture. Give me 1 second there, John. Well, we'll sit me over here. Right. So the mid server makes a call to this A in a box server, and this A in a box server then handles all of the calls to and from the large language model server. Because if you want that sort of streaming effect, there's a bunch of tokens that come back individually. So that gets handled. So the mid server doesn't hang out for 30 seconds because if it does, it's too long of a request. These streamed responses come back to the A in a box server, and they send them to update the inference record directly on the instance. And like that's the gist of it. That's the whole thing. Yes, Vishay LLMs are hosted in my environment. So I am spinning up a server on Hetzner to make everything work here. But you could set up a VPS on DigitalOcean or AWS or Azure, and you can run that stuff locally. You don't need a ton of hardware. If DeepSeek has taught us nothing else, hardware isn't a limiting factor. I mean, it does limit things, but it shouldn't be as limiting as we all think it ought to be. Let's see if that mid server has come up yet. I'm just going to refresh this page. It's still showing down. That's interesting. This could be a problem. This was working last night when I did this test. Oh, I didn't wait long enough. I didn't wait long enough. You see it change before I left the page? See, it says not validated. So when I spin up these mid servers for PDIs, I do everything but validate the mid server because I feel like that's a step too far. Because it's like your last chance to be like, you know what, I don't trust this mid server. Right. So today, if you go to getainabox.com, you can reach out to me there. There's a button to schedule a time with me to talk about this to make sure we'll all get this sorted. I'd like to make it very easy to purchase and set up. So easy, like you click a button, get everything, and it walks you through the install. But I'm still working through that whole pipeline, Praveen. But yeah, get AI in a box. That's where this diagram is. Um, I don't know if you can see. You can't see the URL, but yeah, you can see there's a Let's Talk. You can click on that, and it pulls up my schedule of like when there's availability. Please don't schedule the 13th and 14th. Those days are going to be long already, and I'm going to be busy doing stuff. But if that's the only time it works for you, feel free. All right. Where was I? So the mid server is here. We haven't told it to validate yet. We're going to validate it. And that takes a minute. Right, it's validating. Let's go sit on the other page, that command center page for right now. Because there's a number of properties we can set and tables and such. But this should update as soon as it's up. So it went up, says not validated, which it should be validated here in a moment. I get impatient, so I refresh the page. Oh, you know what? It might be taking a moment because not everything, these things should be up, but maybe they're not yet for whatever reason. Yeah, okay. So everything's up, everything's green, everything's perfect. So what does that mean? So out of the box, if you go to an incident record, and this is like the main use case I went to it because everybody wants summaries, right? Let's pick on a not closed incident. Sure, let's pick this. Need access to the common drive, 7002. You can see that there's a couple extra buttons up here now. There's this Ask AI button, and there's this Summarize button. And they also exist down here. They're standard UI actions. They're a little different than regular actions in that they open a dialog. And this also works in Workspace, in case you're wondering. But yeah, this will make a summary of the current incident. I didn't really look at the data of the incident. I kind of wish I could minimize this window so I could look around while we're talking here. I'm pretty sure this incident is pretty lackluster. I think it said there was a work note copied from a parent incident. Um, but let's just see what it generates here momentarily. While we're waiting for it to respond, has anybody had a chance to try out the NowAssist product? Oh, here it comes back. It's coming in token by token, which is kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. I get excited when I see it. Now, if you wanted to regenerate this, it's a lot faster on regeneration, right? Or maybe the large language model is responding in a way that you don't expect. You're like, this is not useful. You can stop it mid, right? You just stop it mid sentence. And that's what it just did there. So fantastic. You can also ask a question. And in this case, it has a context of the current record. I might change how this works. This was kind of added on a whim based on a previous coworker's statement. So we'd be like, I don't know, who called this in and when? Right? We can ask that question. It has a context of the current record. Obviously, I don't think it's very helpful to ask this question, but if you didn't want to have to like find in the notes that it was called in by somebody else for the individual, you know, maybe this question's useful because it's only in the comments. Oh, Shay, you're saying now assist is pretty neat, but the setup is a bit wonky at times. I know they have a whole bunch of skills. Oh, so it says here the record was created in 2018 by admin, December 12th. Let's see if it's right. Well, the caller is David Miller, so that's not exactly right, but it looks like it was created on. That's interesting. Let's take a look at why maybe gave that wrong answer, because we can dig into that. Mohammed, you did some building of knowledge articles with it. That's cool. So let's dig into like what exactly just happened here. Like, how is this working? And I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. I'm just checking what I want to talk about today. Make sure I've hit everything so far. What is AI in a box? Yep, Jack went over that. Self-hosted, cost-effective, customizable AI. Why does it exist? To avoid cloud lock-in, have predictable costs, have full control in your environment. Live demo, summarizing. How easy does it set up? Maybe a hint at future capabilities. Yeah, so I am planning to bring in a vector database so we can have better similarity searches. But there's some complications with that. Now, let's talk about what exactly happened here and how this worked. You might be wondering, well, how can we see like how well it performed or what it did? Every time you interact with it. Yeah, John, I think that's exactly what happened. I think it took the created instead of the caller. But let's take a look and we can see it here. So we can see there's 3 inferences in the last 10 minutes. And you can see I canceled one. That was when I stopped mid inference. And then this 10-10 one was the one I just made. So let's look at this. So we can see this. There's a type of ask a record. There's a generic summarized chat. Some things I'm working on here. You can see there's a target, a table. You can see the system message, which this should be improved. I didn't think this was, because this was Ask an AI, it's a very simple system message. It could be written better. And you can see that these messages that we didn't send, but were sent for us. I need assistance, give me the phone record, I have a few questions, I'm ready. And then we send in all of the data in human readable text to the large language model. And this matters because how else does it know about the current record? It doesn't. Right? So then I have the assistant say ask a question, and I give it some pre-built questions with pre-built answers that I can dictate. And then you can see the question I actually asked, which is sorry about that. Who called this in and when? You can see it says it was created in 2018 at 12:12. Let's do a control F on that. 2018. Oh, look, it was updated at 12 on 2018 at 12:12, which is interesting, right? Because that's not when I would have expected to see it. Right? Work note right there. But the created was 1016. So it could use some improvement, that prompt there. But you can exactly see what was sent and what was returned. All right, let's get into what it was I was excited to share. So this week I am hosting a hackathon, and I invite all of you and your friends, up to 4, on a team to participate building some solution with AI in a box on your PDI. You might be wondering, well, Jace, how do I sign up? Let me drop a link here in the chat. So how does it work? Let's just talk through it quickly. So if you go to that site, you'll get to this get AI in a box /hackathon. There's this fun join a hackathon. You can click this button to join it. It'll bring you down to this form. You put in a team name, so please coordinate with your friends to use the same team name. Or don't, but 1 to 4 people per team, up to 32 teams. This is going to be different than hackathons we've seen done in the ServiceNow space before because 1, there are no judges. Well, you are a judge and the teams are judges. So there's 2 pools of teams, right? How are these things judged? We're not judging it by the same industry vectors that ServiceNow has had at their knowledge conferences. We're judging it based on stuff that really matters, on the ability to save time, reduce costs, and minimize risks. When will the judging happen? Next week or the week after the event starts. The event is, by the way, going to start in 6 days, 23 hours, 37 minutes, and 24 seconds. But judging will happen the week after. So there'll be a whole week to build, which will be the week of December 17th to December 21st. Like I said, there's 2 judging groups. There's the participants, and then there is also the community, right? So if you're a team of 4 and you're judging stuff, your team gets a vote. And if you are just in the community, you get a vote, right? And we'll count those uniquely as we can. That way 4-person teams aren't, what is the word I'm looking for? Disproportionately advantaged. December, no, next week. February 17th to February 21st is when it's running. What needs to be submitted? So at the end of this, just a 5-minute or less video showcasing or highlighting the value and how a specific audience can save money, time, or reduce risk with the solution you make, with this AI brush that is hard to get a hold of in ServiceNow. Who can enter? Anybody. It's open to all, with teams ranging from 1 to 4, but we're only limiting it to 32 teams. Having somebody on your team who can make a video will be highly advanced, will be a great, will be highly recommended. Don't have a video creator? No problem. Ask on LinkedIn. Matter of fact, the chat here might be a great place to ask. But feel free to make a post about it and see if there's anybody who could join you. What do you get for your efforts? We all want swag. Don't worry, I'm going to shell out some cash here to buy some stuff and send things to the participants. So there'll be trophies and some other stuff that will be shipped out after the judging happens. And what do you need to enter? The only thing you need to enter is a PDI. Well, you don't need a PDI to enter, but the only thing you'll need to make this work is a personal developer instance. Fantastic. I don't have anything else really to talk about, but I want to open up to you guys. Do you have any questions? Anybody in the chat? Shay, John, um, Mo, Praveen, Vishay, Edmund, Twinkle, Jay Torres, or other folks who haven't spoken up? I'm excited to have you here. Yeah, so I've got sessions all week. I'm sure I'll be talking about some ideas here that I've had, but here I'll toss out a couple summarizing emails when they come in. So including in the email that comes in for help, rewrite it so that it's more actionable, right? I don't have the KB item builder like that ServiceNow has yet. I'm working on that, but maybe you can beat me to it. Another idea would be um, perhaps you want to make a list of things that people should do when they're supporting folks on incident or on HR cases. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you guys are all able to make it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You guys know how to with the site, and you guys also can see how to register for the hackathon. I'm so happy to have you, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. With that, I'm going to end the stream. Have a great morning. Talk to you later. Did I forget to record? Woohoo! Recording finished.